Hey guys, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Maddie. Welcome to War Eagle Television.
Today is October 7th. Make sure you attend the homecoming game tonight at 7.
Also, the dance is tomorrow from 7:30 to 11. Homecoming tickets are being sold in the cafeteria for $5 during both A and B lunch.
You know, Maddie, earlier I got to thinking about how so many animals in today's world are homeless.
And that's a good point, Gage. That's why we've teamed up with a local animal shelter to promote a dog for adoption.
This is Sui. His breed is unknown, and he was found roaming the streets of Rogers. He is 5 months old. He's looking for his forever home. Please help spread the word.
Wow, very touching. Well, with homecoming tomorrow, here's a video from Alex and Aleda with the rules of the dance.
We want everybody to have the best possible time that they have at homecoming. So some good general rules before the dance to know are you need to have your ticket, a student ID, and if you're going to bring a guest from a different school, you need to be sure that you buy a guest form with your ticket and have them fill out the guest form with the administration at their school. You also, before the dance, need to know that when you come into the dance, you cannot leave the dance and go back out to your car. So if there's anything that you might need, be sure that you've got that before when you come into the dance. At the dance, be sure that your dancing is appropriate. Be sure that no part of your body below the waist is in connection with anyone else's body below the waist. Be sure that you have a good time and dance appropriately. We are really excited that the theme of homecoming is Haunted Homecoming this year. We're doing great things with the decorations. If you want to embrace the theme and come wearing something along the theme of Haunted Homecoming, we would love that. Just be sure that you follow some safety guidelines. You can't cover your face. So that means if you have something in mind, you can't wear face paint, you can't wear a mask, and you can't wear a hat. But any clothing that you would like to wear that goes along with the theme of Haunted Homecoming is fine. Be sure with your dress code, no jeans, no t-shirts. And girls, on your clothes, if you wear dresses, it's okay to have a strapless dress and it's okay to have a dress that's backless. But on the strapless dresses, be sure that your neckline is high, and be sure that on the backless dress, kind of imagine if you were to draw a line around your waist from where your belly button is, that's how high your dress needs to be in the back. And of course, you need to have a fingertip length skirt.
Well, I'm very glad we know that now. It's good to know now better than later.
Do you know Carter Christian?
Oh, well, of course, who doesn't?
Well, Brian, Parker, and Danny have done a story about his football career in high school.
Sounds very interesting.
So tell us about the moment it tore.
It just hurt pretty bad, but I didn't think it was that bad. Then I talked to our school's trainer, Mr. Dr. Coach Haynes. He's in the Olympic Training Hall of Fame, and he thought that I would be out for a couple days at the max. And then about 3 weeks later, I got the news that it was torn, and I was devastated.
So how was it missing the last half of the season?
It really hurt me to let down my JV brethrens. I just wanted to be there for the JV state, and it just, I wish I could change it all.
So what was rehab like?
It was a grind. I was grinding, you could say. I went for about 3 days a week, 4 hours each, for about 6 months straight.
So where will you be playing college football? Is it Alabama? Is it Ohio State? Have you decided?
Well, those were definitely in the run, but I think I've decided on my Golden Eagles, baby.
Like I said, very interesting.
Last but not least is a story about Adam Siviets. He's written 2 books so far and they've become very popular. So here's a story about his journey.
All right, I'm here with Adam. He's a heritage student, and he's a recent author of not 1 but 2 books Adam, what made you want to start writing?
Well, in the middle of last year, a friend gave me a book called Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, and it's one of the best books I've ever read. It's poetry, and I was just insanely inspired by it, and I wrote my first poem right after I read that book, and then it just started rolling after that.
So, have you always been wanting to write poetry, or did you write like stories or?
Well, I've always hated writing, which is kind of ironic. But I never really liked poetry. But then I read some more contemporary poetry, and I started looking at some poets on Instagram and other places as well. And I fell in love with it, and then I just started writing. And the more I wrote, the more I enjoyed it, and the more it felt natural.
Can you talk to us about the books that you wrote and what they're about? And
So my first book is called California Dreams. I wrote that last year as a sophomore, and it was mostly for myself, but then I started sending some excerpts to my friends, and they really enjoyed it, and they wanted me to compile it all down into a single book, so I decided to do that. And then after I wrote that, I already felt the need to write another one, so I instantly started this one called When the Lights Go Out right afterwards. And this California Dreams, features more lengthy poems and also a few short stories. But When the Lights Go Out features more shorter poems. So my style has kind of changed as I continued on my writing career.
all right, nice. And what about your process of writing? Like, what do you go through to write your poems?
So usually I never sit down and tell myself I'm going to write a poem right now. Usually I'll have like a word or a phrase or an idea come to mind at random times, like when I'm going to bed or when I'm in the shower, or sometimes I'll go to Iron Horse and I'll just be doing homework and I'll be like, wow, that's a good idea. Let's make a poem out of that. So it happens randomly, sporadically, but I feel like that's the best and most organic type of writing that I make. I'm recording.
Okay, so after you wrote the books and you got them all done and finished, how'd you go about publishing them and creating your own book and selling them?
So basically a few months ago, I created a Google Doc and it was untitled, and I just wrote ideas. I literally just put a page break after each idea that I had, and I developed each word or thought into a poem, and eventually it got to about like 200 pages. I'm like, wow, I need to print this and get a tangible copy of it. So I made a PDF version, and then I also took this picture and made a cover out of it. I did not take this picture, but then I found an online publishing company, and I uploaded my PDF copy of the book to them, and I paid them a small fee to make the book, and they did the rest. They printed it, they shipped it to me. So yeah, now I have a bunch of books at my house.
And how much are you selling them for?
They are $10 each, plus they come with a sticker, which is really cool. So I highly recommend. Just come find me. I'll have copies available with me.
All right. Nice.
4. We're gonna do iCarly style. It's probably just say. No, no, he doesn't say 1. 5.